Hey everyone, I'm going to show you a new tool or an updated tool that I've had for years that I've made some changes to make it a whole lot easier. This is something that I got to present at the Articuland Summit last week, and I got some great feedback on it, and I will continue to work on this tool, continue to make updates and everything like that. So let's go ahead and dive into this tool. And I've actually been working on several applications as part of a suite environment here, and I'll talk a little bit about those. But I really want to dive into this tool, which is completely free. So I'm not trying to sell you on anything here, but it is a tool, again, that I've had in the past, and that is the GSAP animation tool. Now, the GSAP animation tool allows you to basically select settings, and it creates the GSAP code that you can then just copy and paste into Storyline. Now, you can do the same thing with this tool, but it actually allows you to save it as snippets. So it makes it a little bit easier, and you can actually log in and save any previous code as well. So if you head on over to my website at learningdojo.ninja, you can go to all of the tools available just by selecting the drop-down box for apps. And this one is the GSAP animation tool. So if I select that, this is where you can quickly just come in and create a sign up. Now, all you have to do is enter in your display name, your email, and your password. Now, I do not email out and spam you with different things. Pretty much you're signing up for this just to be able to save. So you can use a completely different password than any of your other passwords here. But once you create an account, go ahead and sign in here. This is where you'll see all of your previous snippets, or where you can start new snippets as well. To create a new snippet, all you have to do is come down to the bottom right-hand side and click on this plus icon. Now, this is very similar to my old application where you can come in and you can select different settings, and then you can copy and paste the code into Storyline. But with the old application, it did not save anything that you created. So if you created something new, you would have to go in and recreate and adjust the settings. But if you find something that you like here, you basically just save it and save it as a snippet, and you can come back to it, and I'll show you how easy it is to copy and paste for new applications. So I'm gonna walk you through pretty much how to just get started with the basics, adjust a couple different settings, and then some new features that you would want to be aware of as well. One of those being an AI assistant that allows you to create some of these snippets automatically. So I'm going to go ahead here and just give it a name. If I'm not going to save this, I don't necessarily need to have a name. And the next thing is the object IDs. So this is essentially anything that you're targeting inside of Storyline. Now, if you need a sample project to work with and kind of test this out, there is a download button up on top. You can download the starter project. And essentially this is the starter project, which I am going to open up inside of Storyline. Now, you still have the ability to target the ID or target the query selector. Now, some people do like the query selector because it does allow you to target a couple more things. However, and this is something that just even based on conversations that I had last week with some of these Storyline developers, they are really trying to encourage people to use the object ID. And the object ID, you can still target a lot of the things that you can with query selector, but it is slightly different, and I'll show you what that is. And I actually took that into account when developing this tool. Keep in mind that you'll see, especially if you come into scale, with the query selector, you do, in order to scale something by 50%, you would come in and do like 0.5. But with the object ID, to scale something by 50%, you actually just type in 50. That's where it changes a little bit. If you're going to use a query selector, you'd want to use something like 0.5. If you did use something like 50 with the query selector, it would actually increase it by 5 times the amount. So that's something that you'd have to be careful with. And I do have little hints above each one of them that do tell you that, and they adjust depending on what you have selected. So I'm trying to make that as easy as possible. Now, with this object selected, I'm going to pull this up and I'm just going to grab the ID. I have previous videos on how to do this. You can check out all of those previous videos. Everything I talk about in those previous videos applies directly here as well. So all I have to do is come into that slide, and then to get the ID, I just basically right click and click on copy ID. Then I can come in here and paste that ID. That's how I target an object. Whenever I'm working with JavaScript and I want to be able to tell something on the stage inside a Storyline to animate or to increase or to scale or to change the opacity or something like that, I need to be able to talk to that. And it creates a variable down at the bottom, and it says let object 1, and that's the name of the variable. And then it has this object, and there is my ID right there. So all I have to do, and I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that 50 right here. So you just get rid of the number if you want to remove that. And then I'm going to come into position and I'm going to move this over to 400. So X goes across, Y goes up and down. It takes some getting used to. Again, check out my previous video where I cover all of those basics as well. But all you have to do is adjust the variable, whether it be X or Y, or whether it be scale or opacity or rotation or anything like that. You just adjust those properties. So I can come in here and under rotation, I can adjust this a full 360. Well, let's go ahead and just rotate it by 180. So you can see right here, it's going to animate the X value of 400 or to 400, and it's going to animate to 180. Now that is a key phrase right here. So GSAP to. If I wanted to animate this to a certain amount, then I make sure that I choose to. But if I wanted to animate it from a certain amount to where it's at inside of the stage on storyline, then I would actually come up to this drop-down box and select from. I did not have that in my previous tool. This is something that is new to this tool as well. You can do to, you can do from, or you can do from to. Now, if you do from to, you have to adjust the properties of where it starts, the from, and where it goes to. So there's two different spots to be able to adjust that. So I can say starts at 100, and you can see that it will have the property of 100 and go to 400. So it's a little bit more flexible that way if you wanted to control exactly where it starts and where it ends. Now with the current version inside of Storyline, wherever I have my object is where it's going to start if I'm using the to. If I choose from, it's going to, whatever I put in the code here is where it's going to animate from, and it's going to go to wherever the object is positioned on the stage here. Most of the time, you'll probably be using to, where it's going to animate to. It's going to be wherever it's from initially, and it's going to animate to this certain position. So let's stick with that. So all I have to do is come in here and copy that code, very similar to what you could do before. But this is new right here, these preview settings. So if I come into preview settings, I can adjust the stage size to be exactly what my storyline stage size is, and exactly the starting position, the X and Y value of that. The reason why this is helpful because I can actually preview what this animation is going to look like before I copy and paste it into Storyline. It's not going to be 100% exact, but it's a lot closer than what I had my preview before. So if I click on Preview Snippet and then click on Play Animation, I can see exactly how far that's going to go across and how it's going to animate the rotation as well. Again, not perfect, but it does give me an initial kind of, okay, this is what the animation is going to look like. So I like that, so I'm gonna go ahead and copy that, come over here, and let's trigger the animation when the person clicks on this button. So I'll go ahead and just say execute JavaScript, come down to execute JavaScript right here, open this up, and then all I have to do is paste in the code. Anytime I'm going to make a change, let's say I'm now going to animate it to 600 or something like that. All I have to do is change this to 600, copy the code right there, come over here, open up the JavaScript, Control A to select everything, delete, Control C to paste in the new code. So you just copy and paste in the code at every single time you want that. All right, so now if I go ahead and click OK, let's preview this and just make sure that the animation is working here. Okay, so I'm gonna click on Animate Square, and you can see how it rotates and it moves over to about, I think I changed it to 600 for this one, but it's now animated over. Everything is good to go there. So it's as easy as that. You don't need to memorize the code. You don't even need to look up the GSAP documentation. You still can if you want to. But here is the key part that's different. If I like this animation and I want to be able to use this for other animations, all I have to do is click on Save Snippet. Now I have that animation here. If I wanted to apply this to something else, let's say I wanted to animate the triangle in the same way, all I have to do is copy that triangle ID. So I'm going to copy that ID, and then I'm going to come over here and click on copy here, and then I just paste in the new ID, and it says, yes, copy with new ID. That's all I have to do. I don't even have to go into the snippet. I can just come over here. Let's do this when you click on the animate triangle button. We're going to execute some JavaScript and we're going to paste that in with the new ID. I didn't even need to go into the original ID, edit anything about that. I just copy it in with the new ID. Now, if I paste this, which it may go pretty far, it may even go off the stage. So I'm going to change this to 400 actually, just so you can see it here, or 300. if I was going to use the same amount and have it go to the same position, I would not need to change anything. I could just basically paste in the new ID and now it applies. This is most useful not for exactly position, but for like if you wanted something to scale up and bounce with the easing, then you could create that type of animation and apply it to whatever object you wanted to. Okay, so now if I click on animate triangle, you can see that it moved backwards because 300 position is a little bit back from what the starting position was here. And that's really the starting position over on the left-hand side is 0. The starting position for Y is up on the top. So like up on the top left, that is 0, 0. So that's something to keep in mind there. So that's how easy it is to be able to save it as a snippet. You could even, or without copying in a new ID, you could actually just copy this and do no copy original, and it will use the same ID if you need to repaste in the ID. So those are some nice features to be able to go in and save your snippets. Now, if you come up here to the top, you can also easily search. Let's just do animate, and you can easily filter out to the snippet that you want. Another nice thing about this, let's come in and actually have this go to from. Well, let's create a new snippet. So we're going to call this one balloons. So we're going to say balloons, and then we're going to have several objects. So this is another new feature here is I can target several objects at once. So let's go into our balloon animation, which is basically the second one here. And we're going to have these objects animate from off the stage. So right now, the stage is actually set at about 500 something, about 562. So to animate from off the stage, I need to have the Y value at least above 600 or something like that. So it'll animate in and go into where it's currently positioned at the moment. So in order to do that, I need to do from. So let's go into here and let's copy the code for this first balloon. And I'm going to paste that right here. Now let's go ahead and animate this from. So I'll select this drop down box to from, and we're going to have this set at 600. So that is animating it from. Now let's have a little bit of an easing effect when it comes in. It's going to slightly bounce. So let's come into the timing here, and we're going to go into ease right here. And then select, let's have it back, and we're gonna have it back out. In is like the start of the animation. If you want this easing to happen at the start of the animation, out is the end of the animation. So we're gonna do back out. Now back is a little bit of a bounce, but not too much. So it's gonna go ahead and just bounce that a little bit from off the stage. So let's save that. Let's just do one balloon for now, and then I'll show you how to target multiple balloons. So I'm going to copy, I'm not going to save it yet, but let's go ahead and copy that code. And let's have this as soon as the timeline starts. So I'm going to go ahead and execute some JavaScript, paste that in there. And then I'm going to select the drop-down box for when, and we're going to have this happen when the timeline starts right here. So when the timeline starts on this slide, it's going to go ahead and animate in. Okay, so it happened actually pretty quickly. So we can do something like this even before, like if I go from one slide to another slide, that is going to be, you may run into where it animates before the slide fully loads. So you could do something like add like a delay, for example. So coming in here, let's add a 0.5 delay, just so it has a little bit of a delay before it runs the code. So I'm going to come in here and just copy in the code right there. And then let's go ahead and click OK. Now let's preview this again. So you can see it was a little bit of a delay. I can adjust that if I want to. It is going to be a little bit more choppy on the preview and storyline than it will be once you publish it out. Once you publish it out, it becomes very buttery smooth there. Let's now target all of the balloons and figure out some things that we can do with the balloons here and targeting several objects. So in order to target several objects inside of the code, you have to create what's called an array. But to do that inside of this tool, you just click on the plus icon however many times you want to have, or however many objects you're actually targeting. There are 5 balloons on the stage, and so I went ahead and created 5 different objects here. Now all I have to do is copy each of the IDs here, and then go ahead and paste the ID right there. So let's hit copy, and then let's paste the ID for this next one. I'm gonna hit copy, or right-click, copy, paste the ID for that one, right-click, copy, and then paste the ID for that one. You can see that it's creating several different variables, object 1, object 2, object 3, object 4, object 5. Then inside of the target, it's actually creating all of those variables in an array. The reason why this works is because they're all going to come from the Y position off the stage. They're all going to go to their current position, And so I can do that for each of those objects here. Let's just copy that code as is. So I'm going to click on copy here, replace the code that's existing right there, just Control A, Control V, and there is our code. Now let's hit OK and watch how all of this is going to animate in at the same time. You may want it to animate at different times, and I'll show you how to do that. But you can see all of them animate in. Well, let's go back in, and let's say that we want them to be able to animate in one at a time and to kind of stagger in. Well, there's a property called stagger in order to get that. So I can come into stagger here, and all I have to do is how much time between each of the animations do I want it to stagger. So let's go ahead and just do 0.3 to stagger, and you'll notice that it adds this property of 0.3. Great, so I'm just gonna go ahead and hit copy. Now let's come in and adjust that code. We'll just hit Control A, Control V, and then hit OK. Then I'm gonna go ahead and preview this, and now it's going to come in one at a time. So there's our first balloon, second, third, fourth, and fifth. So just by adding stagger, just by adding some different properties here, we're now able to create these animations, create this easing, stagger the animations pretty quickly using this tool. One more thing I want to show you is also adding like the rotation. So if I come in and add the rotation, and I'm going to do this on a different object here. So let's save this snippet, and now let's come in and add a new snippet. So down at the bottom right here, I'm going to add a new snippet of rotation, and let's target something else. So let's come into the triangle here, because I won't be able to see it on the circle. So I'm going to change the animation for the triangle. So I'm going to copy the ID for that. And now I'm going to go into rotation. Let's do a full 360. But in order to get it so it doesn't have any type of like easing, because right now there is a default easing, even though we don't have any properties, there is a default easing, but I want it to be very consistent, very smooth. In order to do that, I actually need to come into timing and add a none. And I need to update the code here because right now if I select none, it just removes the code. So we may need to add this manually. For now, I'll just add power 1 here. So let's copy that, but let's do something else. Let's have this repeat, and I want it to repeat unlimited. I want it to keep going over and over and over. To do that, in the repeat section, I just do -1. So repeat -1. By doing that, it now will trigger to GSAP that this needs to repeat over and over and over. So let's go into that code and paste in our new code. But to get that none easing for now, I will update this, but to get that none easing, I'll go ahead and just type in none within the quotes there. Okay, so let's preview that. Now that animation will not trigger until I click on the animate triangle. But as soon as I click on the animate triangle, you can see that that is now going to continuously animate over and over. Because the shape is a square, it does rotate pretty much perfectly, but it doesn't look that way because this is a little bit more elongated on these sides than it is down at the bottom. So that's why it looks kind of weird. It probably would look better if I animate. Let's do this one instead. I'm going to copy that code, and it would probably look a lot more smooth if I animate that. Just going to replace the ID real quick, and then let's go ahead and preview this. I'm going to click on animate triangle, and you can see that's a lot more smooth. So it is better if you're going to rotate something like this to have it be a perfect square or have it be a perfect dimensions, but also have it like visually be perfect as well. So if I was to have something like a gear icon, I want to make sure that the gear icon is perfectly centered in the middle in order for this to look good. So there's one more thing I want to show you with this tool. So that's how you target several things, but I'm going to come in here. I'm going to go back to snippets here. This is where if you don't know the type of properties that you want, you may be thinking, okay, I know I kind of want this, but I don't know exactly what properties I want. Well, that's where the AI part of this comes in. So by clicking on this wonderful Sparkle AI up on the top hand side, you can describe the type of animation that you want. Now it is helpful for you to describe like bounce, rotate, opacity or something like that. So let's go ahead and say fade in and rotate continuously and move to 200x. So just by doing that and hit generate animation down at the bottom, it will actually create the code for you. It will say, oh, these are about the properties that you want. So opacity, it's going to go to 100, which we probably want to change this to from, but it's going to go to 100, so it'll fade in basically. it will go to 200 X value. It'll rotate to 360. It'll have the duration of 2, so it's going to slow it down a little bit. It's going to add the -1. It knows that you want it to repeat over and over. And it's going to add an ease. Now, I didn't really describe an ease, but it is AI, so it's going to try to do this as much as possible. I am still trying to train this to be perfect here, so you're not going to get 100% perfect with that, but it at least gives you a start. Then if you click on accept and save snippet, there's your snippet. Now you can go in here and adjust the properties to how you want. Let's say we want easing to be none, things like that. So just an easy way to go in and describe the type of animation that you want and have it create a snippet for you. That is the new GSAP animation tool. It is something that I've spent a little bit of time to get developed, and something that I want to continue and to perfect and to create it as a good resource for you to be able to create custom animations and to go beyond the animations that's out of the box. Now, with that said, in the tool or in the conference last week, they did show, and I don't know if I should be saying this, but they did show an AI assistant that would actually generate JavaScript for you. So I don't know the longevity of this tool, and that's fine. To have it integrated into Storyline is awesome. I'll take that any day. If this basically serves the purpose until we can get there, great. It'll allow me to at least go in and to create these custom animations. But that's with the AI assistant. For those of you who do not have the AI assistant, this is still 100% relevant to you. So you could still use this tool to be able to do it. This is absolutely free. This is a resource that I want to provide to be able to create custom animations. If you do, and this is in no way trying to promote or to peddle money or anything like that, but if you do feel like it is a great resource, you can provide, and I had a couple people suggest this, but down at the bottom, I am a big Dr. Pepper fan. I love Dr. Pepper. So down at the bottom left-hand side, if you do want to contribute anything, because it does cost for the AI model, it does cost for hosting as well. If you want to contribute anything, you can go down to the bottom left-hand side, and if anything, just a Dr. Pepper. I'll enjoy a Dr. Pepper there. But you don't have to. You really don't have to. You can just come in here, enjoy the tool, and create custom animations. I would love to see what you come up with. If you create a custom animation or a custom interaction inside a Storyline, please share that with me. Share a link, a review link, or something like that. I would love to see that. That's all I have for today. If you want to check out more, make sure you head on over to my YouTube channel, click that like button, subscribe to my channel, as well as hit the bell notification so you get notified of all future videos as they come out. That really helps my channel to be able to reach more learning developers, to help them go beyond what's out of the box inside of these standard tools. Also, if you want to check out all my previous blog posts, you can go onto my website, learningdojo.ninja. Here's where you can access other apps as well. You can also check out full courses covering everything from A to Z in Articulate Storyline 360, JavaScript for Storyline if you wanted to dive into exactly what's happening with the JavaScript, also XAPI fundamentals, Articulate Rise, custom SCORM. You can also check out previous blog posts and download templates. That's all I have for today, so thanks everyone, and I'll see you next time.